Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And as you know, Sports Insight is all about sports news from all across the globe. Not to forget, you can reach us on our social media handles, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. And that would be actually same for Instagram and also Twitter. That would basically allow us to be more interactive to you with regards to the news that we give to you guys all. But anyways, let's start with the headlines. Yes, Pakistan cricket team has finally regained its position in the top 5 after a while winning against South Africa 2-0. Yes, England versus India, the first test, and England actually managed to take the victory 1-0. We'll surely talk about that. And from the world of Australian Open, Rafael Nadal easily goes through against Laszlo Iri. We'll talk about that as well. And Bayern Munich actually beat Al Ahly 2-0 to reach Club World Cup final. We'll talk about that as well. And yes, Toronto Raptors and Memphis Grizzlies. Raptors actually managed to win on Monday. Obviously, they had 2 players missing. We'll surely talk about that. And yes, those were the headlines, and very interesting with regards to obviously the cricket side that we'll definitely be talking about. Not to forget that Pakistan has emerged on the number 5th, which initially they were not with regards to the test performance. And you know, if we look at the stats, New Zealand's still on the top, India's on number 2, Australia's on number 3, England's number 4, and Pakistan is on the number 5th. But the good part is that we still have that hope of taking this journey further. And not only this, Babar Azam eventually turned out to be one of those legendary captains who won the debut test series, as he was announced as the test captain a few months ago. But anyways, to discuss all of this happening, we have with us Mohammad Awais. Awais, thank you for joining us. Anyways,
so much.
Pleasure. Anyways, I would straightly go on to obviously with regards to the performance. We've been talking to you. We've been talking to multiple journalists with regards to the idea, multiple sportsmen with regards to the idea of how Pakistan actually managed to take this 2-0 lead against the Proteas. And not to forget that we were having a lot of speculations with regards to Proteas, because Proteas eventually came from winning against Sri Lanka, and they were on fire themselves. But with regards to specifically when we look at the last match, the last test that we played against them, even de Kock just couldn't. He did not have that body language. He did not have that any. You see that spark in the players when they're playing. So we'll take it from how Pakistan emerged as an amazing team. The coordination was perfect. Heartiest congratulations to the chief selector, the entire team, the elders. But how do you see this change and this change continuing for the betterment of the country?
It's a great great win for Pakistan, especially. Pakistan won against South Africa because they're touring after 14 years.
Right.
And Pakistan have won the 2 test matches. And if you just watch out the last test match, I remember when South Africa were playing against Pakistan, at one moment when Makram was in the party, I thought that this might be tough for Pakistan. But Pakistan bowlers, did a fabulous job. And especially the fielding coordinator, Imran Butt, was really, I would say he was really charged up. The
Right.
fielding helped the Pakistani bowlers to get pressure on the South Africa team, and it's a great win for Pakistan because Pakistan had been doing not good in the test matches. Many of the ex-captain Azhar Ali was under scrutiny.
Right.
Then you had, obviously there was a pressure on the Pakistan, I would say middle order, especially Fawad Alam, that he needs to be in the party, he needs to perform like a senior campaigner. He was brilliant with Babar Azam coming back in the side. Yes, right. Pakistan are on a good note over here, and obviously it's a hard work again, I would say. And rightly pointed, especially by Noman, I would say, the guy who debuted in Pakistan at the age of 33, who has played a lot of domestic matches, who knows cricket better than anyone, I would say, who knows how to come back from the pressure situation, had done a superb job, and especially Hassan Ali, because, he was out of the circuit from Pakistan because of his poor performance and for the fitness level too. And what a comeback, taking 10 wickets to win a match for Pakistan when Pakistan badly needed it.
Right. The interesting part of the match, if you remember, how Pakistan still had a bit of hiccups with regards to the second innings that they played. But then thinking about how Fahim Ashraf managed to bring everything back, even though Babar Azam obviously did his very best. But it eventually came down to, we always have this discussion with regards to how sometimes these tail enders, those who are coming middle order batsmen, they eventually take the responsibility. So talking about
I'm sorry for interrupting in between. I mean, see, always you need one thing, that's your tail needs to whack.
Right.
Remember when, if you just go a little bit earlier back and you see that the Pakistan tail never used to whack, and because tail enders do play a vital role in any team around the world, because they actually carry your score to a good total. Even if a tail ender comes on, if your tail just bats and just gets score of 40, 60 runs, that even dents the other team.
Right.
And you have seen over here, your tail did perform well. I mean, with Fahim Ashraf, your tail did support him. Yasir Shah came in, Noman came in. Especially Noman, I would say he was there. The way they batted up, the tail performed well, and especially Fahim Ashraf. I mean, because he's one of the all-rounders, I would say, who had been under a lot of scrutiny.
Right.
Many of them said that he was rated with Abdur Razak, he was rated with great Azhar Mahmood, I would say.
Right.
But now you can see slow and steady, he's coming into the floor over here for Pakistan. He's performing well. He's performing with the ball. He's doing what Pakistan need as a all-rounder batsman. He's performing well for Pakistan. True. Yes, obviously this is a different format. You would get one days and T20s, but you need a genuine all-rounder, and Shadab Khan and Fahim Ashraf have been doing a fabulous job for Pakistan.
Yes, absolutely. Not only that, if we actually look into, like you said, that now is the time that we actually need players who fix in the middle order, not only the middle order and even the tail enders. Not to forget that Mehdi Hassan actually scored 103 for Bangladesh, but unfortunately a debutant from West Indies managed to take that win from Bangladesh, which was also an interesting situation. What do you think about that?
I was happy for one thing. I mean, Mehdi Hassan did perform well, but I was really happy for one person, that was Saqib Al Hasan. I mean, remember, he was banned from Bangladesh team. I mean, he went through a lot of, I would say, lot of criticism, and many of them, he's basically like what we have Shahid Afridi in Pakistan.
Right.
He's the same face for Bangladesh in Bangladesh. I mean, he deserves a lot of, I mean, he's respected over there. Every youngster wants to follow him, and he has been a fabulous cricketer for Bangladesh, and you saw that in that Bangladesh match. He comes back as a senior campaigner, performs well with Mehdi, but this was a superb test, I would say. Not scoring an easy run. I mean, 400 plus runs to chase on, and West Indies comes with a bang over here. The debutant scoring double 100.
Exactly.
So that was the plus point to see, and West Indies have been on a good note. Yes, there has been little bit issues again. I want to highlight Alamdar, because even you have seen that many of the West Indians, the main cricket faces of West Indies, who are actually the part of the current West Indies circuit, are playing more T20s and T10 cricket. I mean, they're more into league cricket.
Right.
The West Indies Cricket Board had always been an issue between the players. I mean, so they really need to sort that out over here if they want to build what West Indies used to be.
Right. For someone like Kyle Myers, actually, for him coming out, playing that double century is definitely one of the world records to begin with. It's a very difficult situation, specifically coming out on a test match and proving your worth. But like you said, that Shakib Al Hasan and obviously Mehdi Hassan played or did their job as they could, because looking into the total to be chased, 430 is not an easy total. But like you said, that there have been issues with regards to West Indies situation, West Indies political situation. Their own board still has some technical issues. But I think besides all the issues, they eventually managed to, because honestly nobody was seeing this as an upcoming win for them. Everybody was probably more looking forward towards Bangladesh winning it. How do you see that sometimes a body language of even debutants or individuals like these manage to break those barriers?
See, I mean, if you just go by the cricket structure, I mean, I know that cricket structure now they have more T20 kind of flamboyant players, I mean, who basically strike the ball.
Right.
But one thing was really good. It was that the Pakistan, especially I would say the West Indian players, I mean, if you just watch out the body language, even the approach of winning,
right,
they knew that we need to win. There was a hunger in them that we need to win this test match, because I remember when the test match was started between West Indies and Bangladesh, and I said that Bangladesh might win this, because West Indies have been on that good note.
Right.
But they just changed the whole scenario. The way they performed, they won the test match, and especially the debutant coming up, because scoring 200 runs in a pressure situation,
exactly,
it's the first test match for you. And obviously, it's a salute to him.
It kind of reminds me of the good old times for West Indies. I remember we used to have those series back then in Pakistan when they used to tour Pakistan, or there would be Asia Cup, and we'd go And we'd see West Indies and Pakistan having those amazing matches when we talk about great Brian Lara, when we talk about bowlers like Curtly Ambrose. Those were the great times for West Indies. But like you said, that things have been technically difficult for them to bring everything back to their standard situation, right?
Yeah, man. Obviously, right now, any batsman, even if it's A.B. de Villiers or Duplessis or Babar Azam or Virat Kohli,
Right.
would not love to play Ambrose. I mean, the way he used to ball that time.
Right.
Quick, I mean, everyone knew what he was. But yes, West Indies, what they were actually known before in the 90s, I mean, they have faded away from that cricket. I mean, the force, I would say, the scaredness, what they used to bring on, that's faded up over here. Yes, they are known. The batsmen are known for flamboyant cricket, attacking cricket.
Right.
The fast bowlers, if you just watch out, especially the under-19s, the under-17s, they have got cricketers who actually ball really fast, very good cricketers, I would say.
Right.
But it's just the setup over there. The cricket board needs to finish up the politics. I mean, they need to speak to the players. I mean, they need to finish off what all the grudges are. I mean, they need to come back to the West Indies team, because if West Indies want to be the same West Indies what they were, they really need to finish off all this.
Right. So the interesting thing is, which you've actually quoted right now, the issues with the board, they need to be one with the team so that they can maybe make it more clear. I think with regards to, if we look back into our journey, how Pakistan cricket team actually had a mishap when they went to New Zealand, but eventually we talked about this, the chief selector ensured that we talk about these issues and come to a perfect point of making the perfect team. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, and once we are back from the break, definitely continue the talk is in. Till then, see you guys after the break. Yes, welcome back, guys. We were talking about the world of cricket for now, and obviously the victory that West Indies actually managed to take in from Bangladesh. But not to forget that we're still talking with regards to the cricket updates. And yes, we still have Mohammad Awais with that. Awais, I'd want to talk about the interesting victory that actually took place for this phenomenal performance by England. And England really managed to take that victory from the heart of India. Even though there has been a major stuck up with regards to Indian performance, they've always been known for their performances with regards to the batting lineups. But for the past few, besides the last Australia-India second match, obviously that was one interesting match. But yet again, we are still seeing India struggle a lot. How do you see this victory for England, even though India is still on number 2 with regards to the test performance and the test numbers in the leading the ICC actual ranking, and England is at number 4th. But let's talk about the collapse of the Indian team right now.
I was happy, Alamdar, especially, I mean, see, beating India in India is not an easy job for any team, I mean, especially who are abroad, who don't belong from the Asian condition, especially England. I would say when England were in trouble, England has actually built their one-day and T20 side. They're one of the most strong teams in the world. In the one-day and T20, they have improvised. They have got batsmen who are capable of disrupting any kind of bowling lineup. It was the test matches. I mean, they actually faded away from the test matches. We used to speak that. Even I remember in many shows I've spoken that England have actually struggled with the test team. I mean, they need to regain that test team. Especially, I would say, Joy Root. I mean, he's one of the senior campaigners and promising cricketer. He was struggling, but he comes back with he comes back strong. I mean, performing in the Indian conditions, the way he scored runs over there against India, in India especially, I would say it was a fabulous performance. And obviously, it will be a shock for India too. I mean, because like I told you, because in India, many teams struggle over there, especially Australia, England have been struggling in that kind of condition. So it has been a fabulous win for England.
Right. But let's talk about obviously the captaincy and the situation, obviously the pressure that Virat Kohli would be facing for now because of the fact that, like you said, losing against India in India. And not only that, if we look back into the stats of Virat Kohli's previous performances, obviously, meanwhile, he missed a few matches for the fact that, he was committed with his family. But right now, even though he did manage to bring his team up to 72 runs, but for the past few track matches that he's been playing with regards to the test performances, has not been up to the mark.
I mean, see, if you just speak about Virat Kohli, I know he's a big match winner. I mean, if you just watch out his innings, especially in the chasing side, I mean, he's one of the phenomenal batsmen. Everyone knows that. But ups and downs, I mean, they do come in the daily life, I would say. I mean, a batsman or bowler do goes through that. But Virat Kohli, everyone knows what he's capable of. Yes, his performance hasn't been that up to mark, I mean, because Even if you just watch him as a captain, I know he has groomed himself.
Right.
But if you just compare his captaincy with, especially I would say with Rohit Sharma, what he had captained India in the T20s was far different. I mean, he knew how to lead the side. The way they won the T20 matches, and then I remember when Virat Kohli was back to India because of his family commitment, and you had Ajinkya Rahane captaining the side. I mean, you saw a different captain. I mean, the way he led the Indian team. So yes, there are some questions on the captaincy of Virat Kohli, but he's a big match winner, and I don't think so. It would be harsh if I say that it's too early to say that India might remove Virat Kohli. They won't, because again, he's a big match winner for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. With regards to his performance, but sometimes these hiccups in these situations do occur. But like I said, even though it was their home ground, sometimes you can always, because sometimes this situation arises when people say that we were under the quarantine situation, which obviously most of the players are now working their life on, because it becomes very easy. But yes, they won't definitely come up on deciding that they don't want Virat Kohli on board. Of course, Virat Kohli everybody knows that he has that wisdom, he has that way to make those big numbers for the team. Even the last match, let's talk about the last hiccup that actually happened. If we talk about Australia versus India, 36 all out, but then India making a super comeback on the second Test match, that was also phenomenal. But even though Virat Kohli wasn't playing that back then.
I mean, see, I told you, because India has been struggling in the Test matches. But whenever you remember, we speak about India that if they travel to the overseas conditions, I mean, they do struggle.
Right.
But it was a totally changed team in Australia, the way they won over there. And this is what you need from a team. I mean, it's just not that it's Australian conditions and excuses that it has been a tough condition over there. Right. Because we play in the Asian conditions. But you need to be aggressive. You need to play a natural game. I mean, if you just watch out India, the way they won in Australia without having Virat Kohli, without having main senior players, I mean, it was a young team. Mayank Agarwal was opening for them. But I never saw that, I would say, pressure situation on them. It was the hunger for win.
Right.
The way they won, I mean, they had a proper plan how to deal with India. I remember when India was out for 35 or 45 runs, and many of them started criticizing them. Then just look the way they won that series. Right. That's the plus point over there. So yes, they have been a good cricketing side. I mean, if you just speak by the cricket, I mean, everyone knows that India are a good cricket side in the world.
Right. All right, so we've talked about the cricket side with regards to India and obviously England's win against India. Let's come back to the Proteas tour to Pakistan. Obviously, we still have three more days left. Thursday, we have the first T20 match. Let's talk about Pakistan's T20 squad. How interesting do you think these three electrifying matches would turn out?
Pakistan are a good T20 side, and it would be, I would say, it would be obviously to see how Pakistan performs against South Africa, because South Africa T20 is a different side, and they're touring Pakistan after 14 years. And obviously Lahore, the main thing, I mean, it's about the crowd. There won't be crowd, I mean, because everyone loves to have crowd in that energetic crowd looking South Africa playing against Pakistan. But it's unfortunate, but should be a good encounter. I mean, there are some changes in the Pakistan team. Obviously, looking forward to the youngsters, how they perform. Right. And with the new opening combination, because you don't have Fakhar Zaman with you. So it's going to be interesting to watch how Pakistan actually performs with this opening department, and how, especially, whether the new, I would say, the new uncapped players for Pakistan, do they get a chance to represent Pakistan or not?
Yeah, what about the uncapped? There are a few, like Clayson is actually heading the team for South Africa, because initially they were intending to keep their key players for outer test, and De Kock and everybody announced that they did eventually fly back, but they decided not to, but they couldn't actually. So how do you see our uncapped team and then their uncapped team? How will they be actually having the fight? And not to forget, let's talk about having that in Lahore. How do you feel that environment for them?
Yeah, I mean, if you just watch out the T20 environment, I mean, the spectators, or even if I would say the persons who are watching actually on TV, they want more boundaries to be hit, and that is a requirement of T20. I mean, as a fast bowler, obviously that goes against the bowling line, but still you need more boundaries to be hit, like right. Scoring 180 runs and that getting chased on. Even if you're just watching the Pakistan Super League in Lahore, it supports the batting. I mean, it gets scored 180, even that gets chased on. Right. So it's a new team on the both sides, but still Pakistan has an edge because you're playing in the home conditions. You know how the home conditions do perform in Pakistan, and they do have an edge over here. But South Africa, again, I would say losing the Test series was a different thing. This is a shorter format. and they know how to bounce back. Obviously, they should have spoken to each other, the mistakes what they had done, and they would come as a strong side, but Pakistan need to be positive.
Right. One more thing with regards to the pitch. Let's talk about the pitch, the situational, because Karachi was different, Rawalpindi is different. Now the format is different, and yes, T20 format is a quicker match, is a quicker approach. Both having new teams. How will the pitch impact? Would it be more of on the spin side or on the fast ball side? Because T20 is all about being quick.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have more high-scoring game over here in the Lahore wicket, and it has been in the previous.
Right.
But again, it's upon, I would say, obviously this high-scoring game won't have that crowd in the stadium, which actually energizes the players. I mean, which gives energy to the players, gives boost up the players. That's one negative point over here. But still, in the cricket point, I would say that it should be a high-scoring game, and obviously this wicket, I think so, it would be a belter. But looking at the home team condition, I mean, they would obviously have something in between for the spin, especially to come into party, because you have got Shadab Khan, then you have got, I don't know whether Usman Qadir would play or not. But one thing, Alamdar bhai, I mean, people might not agree with me, but I want the new faces of Pakistan team to be given a chance over here, because best is when you play in the home conditions. There's the point where you give chance to a new face, because this is your home conditions. They know how home conditions perform, because they have played a lot of domestic matches. So this will be a best chance if you could win the T20 series, I mean, and get the last T20 match to a new faces.
Right. We're hoping for the best with regards to this entire match. Anyways, I won't take much of your time. Thank you very much for being with us on the show and discussing about cricket. Yes, that was pretty much all about cricket. We're so looking forward to the upcoming matches. But besides cricket, let's switch over to the world of tennis. Yes. Let's talk about the Australian Open, and not to forget that the Australian Open did has initial issues, but now they've eventually started. So when they've started playing with regards to, I'll talk about Rafael Nadal. Yes, Nadal actually easily manages to win against Lasso Heavy. Yes, not to forget that, initially they all were going through their quarantine side. Nadal himself was also going through his own injury side, but eventually manages to win 6-3, 6-1 against Heady. And let's hope for the best that, his back injury actually is going in the right direction, because this was obviously the starting of the matches. There is a long journey with regards to Australian Open, not only for him, but as we recently had Serena Williams win as well. So there is so much more coming in your way with regards to the Australian Open. Well, this was about tennis. Let's switch over to the world of football. Yes, talk about Club World Cup final. Yes, let's talk about that. Bayern Munich. Yes, Bayern Munich actually beats Al Ahly, and they win against them for 2-0. So it's going to be, they're actually playing for the 6th title in the past 12 months after the German League and the Cup, the Champions League and the German and the European Super Cup. So it's going to be more interesting on how this evolves ahead in the future. And this was from the world of football. I'll just make a quick jump to the world of basketball. Yes, to the world of NBA and Toronto Raptors versus Memphis Grizzlies. Not to forget, Raptors eventually won 128-113 on Monday. But not to forget that Grizzlies actually had two of their important players not playing for them, which kind of brought them to both the situation of not having that solid fight that they want to. But there have been a few ups and downs. Obviously, Clark is going to miss his second game because of his right calf soreness. So he was basically ruled out on Saturday after going through the workout situation. So this will definitely affect Grizzlies in the future as well. Not having your key players playing for you is definitely tricky with regards to any team, be it cricket, be it football, or be it soccer. But anyways, these are the major what kind of news from us right now with regards to ball cricket and everything else. So I guess I'd wrap the show right now, guys. What you can do is you all can surely reach us on our social media handles, which is at the of Indus News Sports. That is for Twitter and Instagram, and you can reach out to us so we can be more interactive. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.